Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we have discussed about fetal circulation. We will talk about some distinguished features present in the fetus and circulation and flow chart, and at the end, as usual, we will talk about clinical feature. Starting from the very beginning, what does mean fetus? It is a Greek word, means offspring. And if we talk about the umbilical arteries, we have two umbilical arteries, right and left umbilical arteries, starting from the internal iliac arteries. And in the adults, remnants of the umbilical artery, proximal part will convert into superior vesical artery and umbilical arteries, and the remnants from the distal umbilical artery is median umbilical ligament, which supports the urinary bladder with median umbilical ligament. Then we have umbilical vein, only one umbilical vein, mostly dominantly left umbilical vein. And there is no right umbilical vein because right umbilical vein start regressing from the 4th week of gestation and disappear at the 7th week of gestation. That's why we have only left or right, only one, not two umbilical veins. And umbilical veins in adult converts into ligamentum teres, and that is a we'll talk about it, is a round ligament present with the free end of the falciform ligament. Okay, we talk about the ligaments. So this is the liver. This ligament is called coronary ligament. That is left triangular ligament, and that is falciform ligament. And the free end of the falciform ligament, ligamentum teres, is present. That is a round ligament of liver. And the posterior side of the liver, we have ligamentum venosum associated with the left hepatic vein, and ligamentum venosum is a remnant of ductus venosus. And I will explain what is ductus venosus and how it bypasses the liver. Then we have foramen ovale. In fetus, we have a foramen between the two atria called foramen ovale, and after birth, that foramen closes, and the upper part of the foramen ovale made up of annulus or remnant is annulus ovalus, and lower part of the foramen ovale is fossa ovalus, and the floor of this foramen ovale made up of septum primum and septum secundum. And there is why it closes, we will discuss, because in fetus lungs are non-functional and there is a less amount of pressure in the left atrium. But after the birth, as lungs becomes functional, there is increased amount of blood will enter into left atrium, increased amount of pressure will closes the foramen ovale. If we talk about ductus arteriosus, we will talk about over here. That is a connection between the left pulmonary artery and beginning of the descending aorta. It converts into ligamentum arteriosum, and we have discussed many times that a nerve called left recurrent laryngeal nerve which hook around this ligamentum arteriosum, left recurrent laryngeal nerve. Then we have the right umbilical vein we have discussed. It start degenerating from the 4th week of pregnancy and disappear at the 7th week of pregnancy. That's why we have only left umbilical or simple umbilical vein. Okay, now we will talk about placenta. Okay, placenta, it is a structure in the baby which acts as a respiratory center and filtration center. And we know in adults, for respiration we have lungs, for filtration we have kidneys, but in fetus lungs are not functional. So placenta will play a role of respiration also, and all the filtration is being done by placenta. And there is two parts. One is maternal part of placenta, another is fetal part of placenta. Fetal part of placenta is made up of chorion and chorionic villi, and maternal part of placenta we have endometrial veins. In between we have placental septums. In between the placental septums we have chorionic villi. This is chorionic villi. This is the maternal part of placenta, and that's how this placenta filters the blood and give oxygen to the umbilical vein and get waste from the umbilical arteries. And you can see, if you can zoom it, this is amnion, then we have this is chorion, and after the chorion we have chorionic villi. In the chorionic villi we have umbilical veins and umbilical arteries. The exchange is going on here. This is endometrial artery, endometrial vein, then uterine veins. So this is the system how fetus get oxygen nutrients from the mother and gives deoxygenated blood and wastes to the maternal blood. So then from these chorionic villi we have a, first of all, main thing we should know, this is one umbilical vein, most accurately you can say left umbilical vein. it gives blood directly to the right atrium via inferior vena cava by a structure called ductus venosus. From the umbilical vein, okay, this is placenta and this is umbilical cord. From the umbilical cord, this is umbilical vein, and almost 50% of the blood bypasses the liver and passing through this inferior vena cava enter into right atrium, and passing through foramen ovale it will enter into left atrium. Then 50% of the blood will just go to the left part of the portal circulation. And if we talk about the oxygen saturation, 80% of oxygen saturated in the umbilical vein as compared to 98% of oxygen saturation in adults. And okay, now we will talk about like this only, like in a flow chart. Now from the blood from the umbilical vein passing through ductus venosus, which bypasses the liver 50%, and now the saturation of the oxygen is 67% here in inferior vena cava and almost in ductus venosus. Then passing through right atrium and left atrium via foramen called foramen ovale, which bypasses the liver, because we know if this blood don't go to there, it will come down to the right ventricle, and from right ventricle it will go towards the pulmonary trunk, and from pulmonary trunk it will go to pulmonary circulation, but it bypasses the heart. So the blood is going to the left atrium, and from left atrium it will go to the left ventricle, from left ventricle passing to the aortic valve, it will go to the ascending aorta, then arc of aorta, from the blood will go to the head and neck, then go to downward, then thoracic aorta, abdominal aorta, then at the level of L4, that abdominal aorta terminates into three branches: right common iliac artery, left common iliac artery, and median sacral artery. And there is no fun in telling at the level of sacroiliac joint, this common iliac arteries divides into external iliac arteries and internal iliac arteries. And from both internal iliac arteries, there is a connection, unique feature. Umbilical arteries will originate from these internal iliac arteries and will go backward again, passing through this umbilical cord, enter into placenta, and give the waste products to the maternal blood. So that's the circulation of fetus, and almost 55% of the cardiac output of the fetus go towards by the umbilical arteries into the placenta. And this blood in the umbilical artery is nutrition depleted blood as compared to umbilical vein, that is nutrition enriched blood. And if we talk about other features, suppose look at here, at the pulmonary blood which was being given by the arc of aorta to the head, brain and neck, the blood will come down as a venous drainage into the right brachiocephalic vein and left brachiocephalic vein. Now the oxygen saturation is 40% over here, and then superior vena cava, they will form together, and there is no fun in telling that azygous vein will enter into superior vena cava, and then superior vena cava blood will enter into right atrium, and right atrium blood will go to the right ventricle. From right ventricle blood will go to the passing through the pulmonary wall into the pulmonary trunk, and now 90% of the blood, almost majority of the blood will go towards the beginning of the descending aorta via structure called ductus arteriosus, and the prostaglandin is responsible for opening of this duct. And as we know, lungs are not functional because lungs are suspended in the amniotic fluid, so there is useless. If the blood is go there, there will be no oxygenation because baby is not respirating in the mother's womb. Am I right? So now the blood will again go to the beginning of the descending aorta, then again the same pathway. Okay, now we talk about closing of the foramen ovale. After birth, as fetus start respiration, lungs become functional. Now what they will happen, the more blood go towards this side, and due to increased oxygenation in the blood, there will be a decrease in the amount of prostaglandin who was opening this ductus arteriosus. So due to increased oxygenation and decreased prostaglandin, this ductus arteriosus is closed, and remnant of the ductus arteriosus is ligamentum arteriosum, and we have talked about there is a nerve which hook around this ligamentum arteriosum, that is left recurrent laryngeal nerve. And we talked about the left atrium, which is the base of the heart. Right ventricle is the most anterior chamber of the heart, and left ventricle is thicker. Why? Because left ventricle is the chamber which have to supply the blood from head to toe. It's a long circulation and high resistance circulation as compared to pulmonary, that is short and low resistance. And we talk about the resistance in fetus. There is a decreased resistance, or you can say decreased placental resistance and increased pulmonary resistance. If we talk about the fetal blood pressure, about 30 millimeter of mercury in the 20 weeks of gestation, and 45 millimeter of mercury at 40 weeks of gestation. And pulse pressure at 20 weeks of gestation is 20, and pulse pressure is at 40 weeks of gestation is 30. And now if we talk about, we have talked about that abdominal aorta will divide into right and left common iliac artery at the level of L4, and right and left common iliac vein with the median sacral vein, they join together at L5, and then they will make what? Inferior vena cava. And you can see over here from abdominal aorta blood will go to viscera, and from here from viscera will blood go back towards the inferior vena cava, and from the portal circulation. For portal circulation we have a separate class. So now we talk about flow chart as we have discussed over here. From placenta, blood will go to the umbilical vein, which is rich in nutrients and oxygenated blood, almost 80% saturation. From umbilical vein, blood will go to the ductus venosus, which bypasses the liver about 50%, and directly blood bypasses the liver and directly go to the inferior vena cava into the right atrium, then passing through foramen mater into left atrium. Then from ductus venosus to inferior vena cava, then from inferior vena cava blood will go to the right atrium. Inferior vena cava blood will go to the right atrium. From the right atrium, passing through foramen ovale, blood will go to the left atrium, and then blood from the left atrium go to the left ventricle. From left ventricle there is ascending aorta, arc of aorta, descending aorta. Then at the end there is thoracic aorta or descending aorta. Descending aorta, thoracic aorta. Then we have abdominal aorta. Then at the level of L4, it divides into external iliac artery, internal iliac artery, and median sacral artery. The internal iliac artery gives two branches, right and left urinary arteries, that will go to the placenta. So that is circulation, fetal circulation. And what about the venous drainage? Venous drainage from the thorax, abdomen, lower limb will drain into inferior vena cava. You can say from the viscera, abdominal organs, and from the lower limbs, from the abdominal organs, all will go to the inferior vena cava into the right atrium. And blood from the head and neck, upper limb, from the head and neck, brain, and from the upper limb, enter into superior vena cava to the right atrium, to the right ventricle, and passing through this ductus arteriosus into the beginning of the descending aorta. Then again the same pathway you can see. And if we talk about some clinical features, we have discussed about there are three positions of the fetus. First one is vertex presentation, in which the head of the baby is down and lower limb is up. Vertex position, mostly we have a vaginal delivery. If the fetus in a vertex position, head towards the vagina. And then secondly we have transverse position. If head is and limbs are side by side, head is here and lower limb is here, like that. Transverse position. Then lastly in transverse position we have to do C-section. Then thirdly we have breech presentation. We have three types of breech presentation we have discussed in detail. First one is frank breech position, in which there is flexion at hip joint and extension at knee joint. So this is the frank breech position. Then we have complete breech position, in which there is a flexion at hip joint and flexion at knee joint. And then we have incomplete position or footling breech presentation, in which there is a flexion at hip joint, but one of the leg having flexion, another leg have extension. This is called incomplete breech presentation. And why we are talking about this? Because there is a specialty called ECD, external cephalic version, in which externally we change the position of the cephalic version. We externally, manually manipulate these positions, breech or transverse, and try to change into vertex presentation, so that C-section converts into normal vaginal delivery. but the success rate of external cephalic version is 65%, and there are few complications. First of all, is vaginal bleeding can happen. In sudden C-section, you have to do if there is a complication has started. The loss of amniotic fluid and umbilical cord prolapse. This is the complication of external cephalic version. And we have talked about the first trimester is very crucial and very hard for the female mother. Because hard, why? Because the female may have feeling of vomiting, nausea, irritability, are psychologically problems, and crucial because it's a very sensitive condition in which the doctors advise very precautions. Then first trimester mother must follow, and because in first trimester there are development of the organs has been started. In second trimester we know the eyes will come to the forward in front of the head, then ear will come from neck to the side of the head, then the baby will start kicking at the second trimester, then third trimester the baby can hear your voices, and in the third trimester there's a wrinkles on the skin and fat layer being produced, and the length increase, baby get weight about length also 14 to 16 inches, and eyes become open. This happened in third trimester. What is trimester? It is you can say duration of 3 months. First tri mean 3, trimester mean month. First 3 months called first trimester. From 4 to 6 months, second trimester. 7 to 9 is third trimester. So these are the features we have discussed about 3 trimesters. Then secondly, we have talked about hemoglobin. In fetus we have hemoglobin F for fetus. And that is very unique because in fetus hemoglobin made up of 2 alpha chains and 2 gamma chains having high affinity for oxygen, as compared to hemoglobin A, that is for adult. And after the birth, the hemoglobin F converts into hemoglobin A as 2 gamma chains converts into 2 beta chains. And due to this high affinity for the oxygen hemoglobin F, there is oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve shifted to the left. And last but not the least, we have incompatibility. If the mother and fetus blood is not compatible to each other, fetal anemia, hydroxamine, erythroblastosis fetalis, called RH incompatibility. Now we will discuss what is RH incompatibility at the end, as we discussed everything else. Suppose if the blood of the mother is RH, for example, negative, and the blood of the fetus is RH positive. What does mean RH positive negative? Suppose if the person having blood group A, B or O, if a person have RH positive in outside his RBC antigen, it is called A positive, B positive. If the person don't have RH group on its RBC, it is called A negative or B negative or O negative or AB negative. Suppose if the mother is A negative and the fetus is A positive, so what will happen just after, as we discussed, the nature has created such a excellent phenomena that maternal blood do not mix with the fetal blood. But while delivery, a little amount of blood may exchange with each other, and if the fetus is AH positive means A positive, RH positive, then the mother will assume, because there is a mixing of the blood at the delivery, only at the delivery, so the female immune system will react against that RH positive blood by the fetus. So what will happen? The female WBCs will attack the fetus RBCs. Now what will happen in the next baby? The next baby again, placenta will develop and all that. The female who's already having antibodies against that RH positive antigen, that will cross and they will affect or attack the erythroblastocytes, erythroblastosis fetalis. So there is a problem in the fetus. So that's why we give injection called RhoGAM at the 28th week of gestation. If we have any kind of doubt that erythroblastosis or RH incompatibility can happen, so that's why as a prophylactically we give at the time of 28th week of gestation this injection to the mother, so that if there are antibodies against the fetus, should not be happen. So female WBC should not attack the fetus RBCs, and we can give if after the birth we know the blood group of the fetus, then we can give again injection 72 hours again or after the birth to the mother, so that next baby should not suffer with this incompatibility phenomenon. So that was about flowchart, clinical features, and association curves, and all that. Yes.